Todd Young Online presents Young Tales. Tales for the young and the young at heart. Today's story: Bulfinch's Mythology, King Arthur and His Knights, Episode 19, The Death of Arthur. When Sir Mordred learned that King Arthur had sailed home from beyond the sea, he crowned himself ruler of England and set his seal upon the throne. He sent letters across the realm saying the king was dead, and by false words he won the allegiance of many. He took Queen Guinevere and swore he would wed her and make her his queen. But the lady fled by night, taking refuge in the Tower of London, where she barred the gates and prayed for deliverance. Mordred besieged the tower, his hosts encamped about the riverbank, his engines breaking stone. But word came that Arthur lived, that he had raised the siege of Lancelot and was returning. Then Mordred gathered all his barons and a host of disloyal knights and drew them to Dover, where he would await the king's landing. From the misted sea came Arthur's ships, dark sails gleaming with iron prows, knights upon their decks in shining mail. Then broke the storm of battle. Great boats and galleys ramming together, swords clashing, the water red with blood. Arthur's courage burned like fire. He drove his men ashore and scattered Mordred's host. But when the field was cleared, sorrow found him. There, among the fallen, lay Sir Gawain, mortally wounded from the old blow Lancelot had given him. Arthur knelt beside him. "Mine own sister's son, art thou so near thy end?" Gawain responded weakly, "Aye, my lord, my death day is come, though my own hastiness and my pride." Through my own hastiness and pride, excuse me. "Had Lancelot been with you, this war had never been. Of all this woe, I am the cause. When I am gone, send for him, cherish him, and forgive, for he was the truest knight that ever drew sword." And with those words, at the hour of noon, Sir Gawain's spirit departed. Arthur wept without measure. That night, as the king slept, he dreamed a strange and wonderful dream. It seemed to him that Sir Gawain came before him again, clothed in shining raiment, and with him many fair ladies crowned with light. "Welcome, my nephew. I weened thou hadst been dead." "Sir, these ladies are those for whom I fought in life, and by their grace am I sent to warn thee. Fight not tomorrow with Mordred. Make treaty for a month's delay, for within that time shall come Sir Lancelot and his knights, who will rescue thee and slay the traitor. If thou break this peace, thou shalt die by fate." And when Arthur woke, the vision still shone in his heart. He sent Sir Lucan the butler and Sir Bedivere with bishops to make truce for a month and a day. At last the king and Mordred met upon the plain beside Salisbury, by the sea. Each brought 14 knights to sign the treaty. The truce was sworn. Wine was brought, they drank in peace. But even then, destiny waited. Out of a heath bush crept an adder, and stung a knight upon the foot. The man drew his sword to slay it, and in that instant the armies on both sides, seeing the flash of steel, sounded their horns and cried out. "Alas, this unhappy day!" Arthur shouted. Then horsemen charged, banners clashed, and so began the last battle of King Arthur. Never was there such slaughter in Christian land. All day they fought till evening fell, and the field was strewn with the dead. Of all Arthur's host, there lived but 2 knights, Sir Lucan and Sir Bedivere, sorely wounded. Then the king beheld Mordred leaning upon his sword among the corpses. "Now give me my spear," Arthur said grimly, "for yonder I see the traitor who hath wrought all this woe." Sir Lucan pleaded, "Sir, let him be. Remember the warning of Sir Gawain. If ye pass this day, ye shall be revenged in time." But Arthur would not be stopped. "Betide me my life, betide me death. Ye shall not escape my hands." Arthur seized his spear and charged. He smote Mordred under the shield, driving the spear through his body. But Mordred, knowing he was dying, raised his sword with both hands and struck the king upon the head, cleaving the helm and wounding him to the brain. Then Mordred fell dead, and Arthur fell beside him. Sir Lucan and Sir Bedivere lifted the wounded king and bore him to a chapel near the sea. Arthur lay upon the stone floor, breathing faintly. Then from the battlefield rose the cry of robbers stripping the dead. Sir Lucan went to see, but his wounds reopened and he fell, his heart bursting in his body. Arthur grieved. Alas, this is to me a heavy sight, that so noble a knight should die for my sake. Then the king said to Bedivere, Take thou my sword, Excalibur, and throw it into the water. Bring me word what thou seest. Bedivere took the sword, and when he looked upon it, the hilt and pommel shining with precious stones, he could not bring himself to cast it away. He hid it beneath a tree and returned. What sawest thou? Said the king. Sir, I saw nothing but waters deep and waves swine. Alas, thou hast deceived me. Go again and do as I command. A second time, Bedivere disobeyed, hiding the sword again. But the king rebuked him sharply. Thy long tarrying putteth me in peril of my life. Go now and throw it in, or never more see me alive. And Bedivere wept and ran swiftly to the water's edge. He bound the girdle about the hilt and cast Excalibur far into the sea. And behold, an arm clothed in white samite rose from the water, caught the sword and brandished it thrice and vanished. Bedivere returned and told the king. Help me hence, said Arthur, for I have tarried too long. By the shore lay a black barge with many fair ladies within, all in hoods of mourning. One was Morgan le Fay, the king's sister, another was Vivian, the lady of the lake, and the third, the queen of North Gallus. They cried aloud when they saw the wounded king. Now put me in the barge, said Arthur weakly. They received him tenderly. One laid his head upon her lap. Dear brother, she said, why have ye tarried so long? Alas, this wound hath caught over much cold. Then they rowed from the land, and Bedivere stood watching as the barge moved into the midst. Not Ah, my lord Arthur, Bedivere called out, will ye leave me here alone among my enemies? Comfort thyself, Arthur said faintly, for in me is no further help. I go to the Isle of Avalon to heal me of my grievous wound. When the barge was gone, Bedivere wandered all that night through the forest. At dawn, he found a chapel and a hermitage by the sea. An old hermit prayed beside a newly dug tomb. Father, what man is here buried? Asked Bedivere. I know not surely, but this night came many ladies in a black barge, bringing one dead, and they prayed me to bury him. Alas, that was my lord King Arthur, Bedivere wept. Then he swooned for sorrow, and when he awoke, he prayed the hermit to let him remain. So Sir Bedivere took poor raiment and served the hermit all his days in fasting and in prayer. When Queen Guinevere heard that Arthur was dead, she left the court by night and fled to Almesbury. There she took the veil among the nuns, wearing white and black, fasting and praying for forgiveness. For all the love that ever was between us, she said softly, may God have mercy on my soul. And there she ruled as abbess until her death. Sorry. Yeah. When Sir Lancelot heard that Arthur and all his knights were slain, he wept bitterly. He crossed the sea to England too late. Alas, he said, this is the heaviest tidings that ever came to me. Yet I will seek my lady Guinevere once more. He found her at Almesbury, pale and holy, and she said, Sir Lancelot, for all the love that was between us, never see me more. Return to thy realm and live in peace. Pray for me as I pray for thee. Nay, madam, said Lancelot, I shall never love other lady, nor dwell in courts again. I will serve God till I die. And so they parted and saw one another no more. Lancelot's journey to the hermitage by the sea, where he found Sir Bedivere still living. There he took the habit of a monk, fasting and praying day and night. In time, Sir Bohart and others of his kin came also and joined him, until the last fellowship of the Round Table was gathered in that lonely place. After 6 years, there came a vision to Sir Lancelot, bidding him to go to Almesbury, for the queen was dead. He and his brethren went on foot 30 miles, and found that she had died but half an hour before. He sang the mass himself and bore her body to Glastonbury, where she was buried beside the king. Then, worn with sorrow, he returned to his cell and took to fasting, till within 6 weeks he too fell sick. "My body will into the earth," Lancelot said weakly. "I have warning more than I may say. Therefore, give me my rights as a Christian man." They gave him the sacrament, and that night Sir Lancelot died, smiling and with a sweet fragrance all about him. They laid him in the same bier that had borne Queen Guinevere, and carried him to Joyous Gard, his castle. There his face was left uncovered, that all might behold him. And when his brother, Sir Hector de Maris, came and saw him, he cast down his arms and wept. "Ah, Sir Lancelot," Hector wept, "thou wert never matched of any earthly knight's hand. Thou wert the truest friend to thy lover, the kindest man that ever struck with sword, the meekest that ever ate in hall, the sternest to thy foe. Alas, that ever such a noble heart should pass from this world." Thus ended the fellowship of the Round Table, the noblest company of knights that ever the world shall see. Some say that Arthur still sleeps in Avalon, waiting for the hour when Britain shall need him again. And upon his tomb is written this verse: "Hic jecti Arthurus rex quondam rex futurus." Here lies Arthur, the once and future king. And so passes the dream of Camelot, the shining of swords, the sound of harps, and the hope that honor may live forever. And here's where we end for today. Young Tales is produced and narrated by Todd Young from Todd Young Online. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and join us next time for another story. Thank you for your support.